stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are continuing with our reviews of the player cards in the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion. This is part 3 of our look at the Mystic cards. In this episode, we're going to discuss Binder's Jar, Ghastly Possession, and Ancestral Mirror. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, a quick reminder of how we rate cards here on The Whisper in Darkness. The best of the best get an Elder Sign, while the worst of the worst get an Auto Fail, and the cards in between get a +1, 0, or Elder Thing respectively. Cards that you build around or cards that are good in one particular deck get a Bless token, while cards that we believe are destined to end up on the list of taboos or are simply bad for the big game get a Curse token. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. If you'd like to be amazing like these people and support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Special thanks to Cole Monroe Chitty, Nicole Fiscus, and Nate Lost in Time and Space for their contributions to the channel. I couldn't do it without you. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to our reviews of the player cards in the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion. This is part 3 of our look at the Mystic cards in the box. The first card we're going to look at is Binder's Jar. 2-cost asset that costs 1 XP. Item and relic trait. You get +1 arcane slot for each enemy beneath Binder's Jar. As a response, after a non-elite enemy is defeated at your location, place that enemy face down beneath Binder's Jar. Limit 2 enemies beneath it. As a response, when an enemy attacks you, discard an enemy beneath Binder's Jar that shares a trait with the attacking enemy to cancel that attack. Binder's Jar takes up an accessory slot. Now, I am quite interested in this card simply because of the ability to stack 2 non-elite enemies underneath it that you never want to deal with again.
Yes,
I was
thinking the same thing.
That is an ability that we haven't really seen before in the card pool, and I can think of many enemies that I would love to, especially I think in multiplayer, where you recycle the deck so quickly sometimes that you say, kill the Brotherhood cultist, and then, damn it, he's back the very next turn. This way you can dump him under the Binder's Jar and never have to worry about him again. To the point that I actually think the second response in this card, the ability to cancel the attack, is a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
I don't think I would ever use it because I would value putting the enemy under the jar far more than canceling an attack, especially if you're a mystic. I don't see yourself getting attacked all that often, but I do like the ability to stack enemies under this thing.
Yeah, I also see that it's unique because I think someone was thinking what we were thinking, just like stacking enemies. Just to take them out of the encounter deck.
What is it? Just to get 2 Binder's Jars. That would be...
Exactly. We'd be like, you mean I can remove all the enemies from the encounter deck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they had to make it unique, because can't possibly have that. That'd be hilarious. Too hilarious. Too much fun.
And this actually seems like one of the easier ways to get arcane slots for 1 XP.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like, because it only costs 2 and can give you 2 arcane slots, I kind of like this more than Sign Magic. Sign Magic just feels like it's just awkward. It's expensive, and and you have to get it down before you can play a third spell, but then that's it. At least this one, like, it does something that is good, even if the arcane slots that it gives you don't actually matter. Like, removing big enemies and putting them face down beneath the jar, that sounds great. I also like how at the end of the game, when you're rushing to the finish, when you can cancel an attack knowing that enemy you just dumped off the Binder's Jar is never going to come back to haunt you. At least I kind of like that.
Yeah, you can set up some pretty nice plays for the end of the game, especially if you're in that position where you need to run to an exit. It's like, oh, I've got a cultist on me. Oh, I guess I'll just move twice, discard the 2 cultists I have under the Binder's Jar.
Yep.
For the
Cancel a
two
couple attacks
attacks of opportunity I have to take and then resign. That's
Yeah,
really nice at
exactly.
the end.
Yeah, just go for the sprint. Or if you're just sprinting to get the last two clues or something,
Yeah.
you can just yeah. So it's a nice bonus. So yeah, like I was saying, unlike I feel like this is more I like how this does something, even in situations when sign magic does nothing, in that you're not actually using that arcane slot. So it's like the reaction effect of putting enemies underneath it has value. The arcane slots they give you also have value, but they don't. You're getting both pieces of value, and then the third ability to be able to discard enemies to cancel attacks has some value as well. So like I kind of like this. It's value on top of value. It's not like costs,
Yeah.
having to. Yeah,
Yeah, I immediately
I like
thought
this card.
of playing this in Agnes, where she can. I mean, she already has an ability to ping an enemy
Oh
that's
yeah.
gotten low. It's just like, aha! I kill this enemy
Hmm.
efficiently, tuck it away for later, and either
Yeah.
never have to worry about it again, or
Well, Agnes is also a good example because Agnes can fall into the trap of she starts running out of horror if she uses her ability too much. If you're not careful.
yeah,
So in like a case like Agnes, she might actually like that last ability. When it's like, oh my God, I'm near the end of the game and I've only got 2 sanity left. Let me cancel an attack. You
yeah.
know, like I think that's a
And
good
she's not
example.
going to turn her nose up at an extra arcane slot either, because
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
it's even if you just got one out of it, you'll
Yeah,
probably end up with two. But even if you're only using up one of those arcane slots, it's
yeah.
pretty
And
nice.
also, I think that to top this off, I love how you don't have to ever exhaust the binder's jar.
No,
I like how if two enemies are defeated that you really don't like in the same turn, you could tuck them both underneath. And I like how you can cancel 2 attacks. Yeah. Like you don't have to like time it with exhaustions. You just do it. So I kind of like this card. It's
yeah,
niche, but I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It. I mean, we did talk about it synergizing with Eldritch Initiation and Explosive Ward,
Yeah.
which I guess you could play in an Amina deck if that's the way you want to go. I wouldn't play it in traditional decks. It also synergizes with Antiquary because you can play it. I believe play this for free
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true
if
because it's a
you have
relic.
other cards that
Yeah.
work with that. So I
And
guess the
it's a relic.
the only
This
sort of
means
downside I see to this card is
Ursula.
that it does compete for the accessory slot,
Yes,
which
it
depending
does.
what you're doing, I mean you've got Holy Rosary is the big one, but then you've got the Jewel and
Hmm.
others that also like that slot. So
Oh, yeah, it's relic. So you can use this for a little extra utility on Ursula, even. That's kind of nice because like Seekers don't really need their accessory slot all that much.
yeah, she might have trouble defeating the enemy in solo, but
But she's hanging out. Other people defeat enemies. She tucks them under.
yeah.
Just a little bit of utility support. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
How would you rate
Yeah.
this one?
Ooh, this one's hard because I don't feel like the three abilities are like absolutely vital. I think they're nice. I think they're nice, but they're not absolutely vital. So I don't think it gets a +1. I think I'm still gonna say 0. If you're not using your arcane slot if you're not using your accessory slots like for anything vital, yeah, and you're willing to do a little bit of like support, nice support effects, especially in multiplayer, dump an enemy underneath it and you're never gonna see it again. I think this thing is pretty nice. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this a 0. As the game goes on, you'll get an enemy, you'll get a key enemy underneath it that you're never going to have to deal with again, and then you got that third arcane slot there for when, as the game is going on, you've already filled yours up, and you're like, oh, I've got one charge left on my shriveling, and I'd like to put this shriveling down so I don't run out on a key turn. It's nice. So, but it's not like vital. So I think I'm going to give it a 0.
I'm going to give this one a +1. I do agree with you that it's not vital, but I really like the
Yeah.
ability to tuck
No, I do
enemies
too. This is
away.
cool.
It always
Yeah.
feels like, in scenarios, there's always something that
Yeah.
the group doesn't want to have to deal with, or you don't. Now, I'm speaking here of multiplayer more than solo. Like in solo, chances of you cycling the encounter deck is very, very rare. I don't think I might have done it once or twice in hundreds of games. It's just something that doesn't happen unless the encounter deck is actively discarding itself for some reason.
Or you shuffle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In those two circumstances, you might run into the same enemy multiple times. But, even if you run into a Wizard of the Order and the ability to tuck the Wizard of the Order under this thing and never have to worry about that pain in the butt again would be
nice feeling.
Would be really great. Just against really big enemies, again, like the Mindless Dancers come to mind, like those things, especially since they come back repeatedly because they get discarded off the table and then they get recycled back through very quickly. I think there are 3 of those in the encounter deck, so if you only have to deal with one of them, that's a lot of actions you've saved because they have 6 health and they're a pain to kill. So I can see a lot of situations when this thing would come in handy. Is it better than Holy Rosary, Jewel? What's the one that gives you willpower and intellect?
St. Hubert's Key.
St. Hubert's Key, stuff like that. Not necessarily, but I think this does something unique that you can't get anywhere else. And so I think if you maybe play through a campaign and run into situations where you can see this being valuable, then maybe pick it up for your next time through and not have to deal with those enemies. And everything else is gravy.
Yeah, no, it kind of is. I like it.
The next card is Ghastly Possession. It is a skill that has 1 XP. It has a wild skill icon, the innate and spell trait. After you commit Ghastly Possession to a skill test on an asset, choose 1. Place 1 doom on that asset. Ghastly Possession gains 2 wild skill icons. Or option 2, if this test is successful, either remove 1 doom from that asset or replenish half of its uses, rounded down. So I took a peek at the card pool. This is one of only 3 skills with the spell trait, which is... I believe the others are both Seeker cards, and they are very expensive XP-wise Seeker cards to boot. So this is nice if you have the Arcane Initiate and you need to grab a spell. Now, I sort of look at the option 1. I don't know how often I would trigger that. Simply because Promise of Power exists, and
exactly.
And I'm already getting 4 wild skill icons. I mean, it's nice in a pinch. Like if you were in the Witching Hour, hey, sure, I get 3 wild skill icons. Option 2, though, is really attractive. Not only just for either removing the doom in case of an Amina deck where her assets don't have charges, but you're basically getting 1 or 2 charges out of this.
Yeah.
In
that's
a traditional mystic. You're getting 2 shriveling charges, which is basically like Winds of Power from Edge of the Earth, which
without having to spend any actions.
Without having to spend actions or resources. So
no, I like it for that.
I like it for that.
Compare it to like Fearless, or not Truth from Fiction. What's the one with a single intellect icon? The one with Rex Murphy looking at the stars.
Oh, I can't remember, but that gives you a charge.
Yeah. That gives you like a charge. Yeah, I think this in that vein. I like how this is it's wild. So that's pretty nice. So you're not limited on what kinds of things you could recharge. So you can do something that is using willpower. You can do something that's using intellect. You can recharge something that's using combat. I like that. The rest of the card you don't even like really need. Like place a doom on that asset. Yeah, whatever. Promise of Power exists. So does Prophesy, by the way.
Yeah.
Which if you've got a way to engineer doom, you can get that up to 6 and get 3 wilds out of that. Being able to replenish half the uses of an asset without having to spend any actions is actually pretty nice. And it still boosts your tests, right? Like you're still getting
you're still getting a +1. Getting +1 and 2 charges basically.
Yeah,
if you
really
succeed,
nice.
Of course. I mean, there is that, but
but still, that's
if you
nice.
use this on a shriveling test, it's like, okay, I have 4 charges. I spend 1 charge. Now I'm up to 5 charges. That's
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I like it for that. And I think it's appropriately costed at 1 XP. It feels right. And I also like how it's a spell and it lets you recharge other spells. So I like there's like that synergy there of using Arcane Initiate to go find your spells. And
Yeah.
then you play your spells, you use your spells, you use this to recharge your spells. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this card is somewhat unique in the box simply because it's one of those that sort of we've seen a bunch of cards in the box that are like, okay, it works if you're playing a Mina, but doesn't work if you're playing a traditional Mystic. And this one seems
Oh
to find the
yeah.
right balance where it's just like, if you're playing a Mina, this will remove a
Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
you can add a Doom if that's what you want to do.
Uh-huh.
Where in traditional Mystics, this gives you the charges. Since if you're not playing the Doom game, you still get some benefit for playing this card. So I quite
Yeah.
like it. How would you rate
And
this
it's
one?
+1, I think. I think this goes on a lot of Mystic decks simply as a fast action chart, recharge.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is
recharge
much
is
more
starting to
reliable.
look. I mean, I never liked recharge to begin with because I mean it was just such a
So
gamble,
unreliable.
and
Yeah.
you had to play pretty much premonition with it in order to make sure it
Oh,
wasn't going to blow up in your face. This just seems so straightforward and simple.
yeah.
Gain 1 or 2 charges basically for whatever asset you have on the table, whichever, whether it's
Oh,
intellect for Rite of
and it's
Seeking
not
or
just charges, by the way. It is uses. So
uses,
that can be secrets. That
secrets,
could be
supplies.
ammo. It could be ammo. That could be supplies. You know, like
Yeah,
it's that could be all. It could be anything you want. Yeah.
so very versatile. Nice
Yeah.
nice way to not only improve your odds of success but also get a nice little few uses out of it without
Yeah.
having to play, without having to really dedicate deck space to it, which is the
Yeah.
case with, or spend a ton of XP in the case of, I don't know whether it's level 4 recharge or something like
Oh
that
yeah, that's
gets you
right. Level
away
4 of
from
recharge. Yeah.
gets you away from it blowing up in your face and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So nice nice card here in
Hmm.
Ghastly Possession. Synergizes with both spells as well as the charm assets if you are playing Amina. So
Oh
good
man,
stuff.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this idea, like recharging the lightning gun somehow. Like it's just Sister Mary.
Sister Mary. Sister Mary can do it. I ghastly possess the lightning gun and shoot ghosts at you. Take that.
Yes, it's perfect. Perfect. I love it.
Or I guess angels in her case.
There you go. Yeah,
Ghastly
she's got like
angels.
holy ammo. Yeah.
The next card is Astral Mirror. It is a 3-cost asset that costs 2 XP, combat skill icon, ritual trait. For each of your arcane slots that are empty, you have 1 additional hand slot. You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to play an asset into one of your hand slots. This one takes up a body slot. I was fortunate enough to spoil this card before Scarlet Key's release. This transforms all your arcane slots into hand slots, so if you have no use for your arcane slots, suddenly you have extra hand slots, which are very hard to come by in this game. So the fact that you can suddenly have 2 extra hand slots is very, very nice. Not only that, but it does grant you extra actions to play stuff into your, not just those 2 hand slots, but all of your hand slots. So we'll save you some actions as you go. Obviously, this synergizes with Amina, who prefers to put stuff in hand slots rather than arcane slots, but there are other investigators who like this as well, such as Daisy, who can put a ton of tomes in those hand slots, or an investigator like Diana, who has her Twilight Blade and sometimes packs guns and stuff like that. During my spoiler, I tried to make a case for this in Sister Mary with the Winchester, but nobody seemed to buy that. So
Yeah, but
they said
they didn't at the time. They didn't know about how they can turn angels into Winchester bullets.
That's right. So
Yeah.
what do you think about Astral Mirror?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like based on the Mystics so far, like you've made a good case for Daisy, I think, but I feel like this is the solution to a problem that doesn't exist yet. Like needing a lot of hand slots. I think it's a cool idea. I like it when cards like let you use slots for alternate things. I really like how it gives you additional actions to like make up for the loss of momentum you take by having to spend an action on this thing. But like I'm thinking about which investigators like really need like 4 or 5 hand slots, and I don't know who they are.
Well,
So
I think
there's
this
that.
is in the box primarily for Amina, just simply because,
Yeah, I
between the
can see
three
that.
charms and then the hallowed
Yeah.
chalice, she's got
Mhm.
some juggling to do if she wants to play all that stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
necessarily if you need to be playing all those assets at one time, but
Yeah.
it's nice that she has the option to,
Hmm.
I had pitched it for Sister Mary and somebody like Diana who have those. I mean, they're using the
Yeah,
two-handed guns,
yeah,
and
Twilight Blade
so
can be kind of a pain in the butt to have to fit. So, yeah, I can see that. I feel like this is a card. This reminds me of a card that I've toyed around with in the past, but it's kind of a little slow. Empower Self, where like it takes up a slot and it does a thing. It's a little slow at it, but it feels like that, where it's kind of like a specialist card that works if you're going down a specific path. It's just not always clear what that path is, if that makes sense. Another thing, a one strike against this card is I really wish it was a spell and not a ritual, because then you could search for it. It would suck to like have to wait on this, to wait on drawing this thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
that is one of the issues with it, is that it's not permanent or anything like that, and so you're gonna have
Yeah,
to
we're
draw this before you can get it down, or
yeah,
buy
we're really
multiple
overdue.
copies, which
We're really overdue for some ways to search for rituals. Empower Self had this problem as well, where like so the problem with Empower Self is you have a single copy of 3 different rituals, and you gotta like you gotta wait to draw the one you want, and you gotta do it naturally. Like I really wish there was a way to search for rituals, and we're way overdue for that. But I think when we do get it, which I'm starting to get the feeling that we have an investigator coming that is going to be ritual focused and is not going to use their arcane slots. They're going to want to keep them empty. I just have a feeling that we're building up to this. But then again, I was famously incorrect for thinking that Mike McGlenn was
that's
going to be.
true. That's true. I
The
think that
evidence
video's
was
been
there.
downvoted many times just because based on your claim that Michael McGlenn was the next rogue.
Oh, it was worth it. It was worth downvoting. Oh my god.
It's like, no, wrong.
What?
Catastrophic doesn't know what he's talking about. Michael McGlenn was
It
the
was a
next.
prediction. Predictions come with. If all predictions were true, then like I would be a billionaire from the stock market, but I'm not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how would you rate Astral Mirror?
Ooh, this is a hard one. I think it goes under I think I'm gonna bail out and say bless, because like if you need, all right, if you need more than 2 hand slots, like I think this is a really efficient way of getting there. Because it gives you actions, it gives you free actions to play more assets into your hand slots. I think it's up there with like Bandolier level 2 for like good ways of getting extra hand slots. So I'm gonna give this one a bless. If you need it, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I
Yeah. If
was.
you don't need it, it's useless. You know?
The more we talked about it, this one had bless written all over it, simply because
Yeah.
if you're buying this card, you have a reason for it. You have
Yeah.
something you want to do with your hand slots, whether you're Daisy and you just want more tomes, or you're playing some weird gun deck with one of the two-handed guns, or you're you just need extra hand slots for, I don't know, something that comes out in the future.
Yep.
You are buying this for. You're not just
Yeah.
picking this up on a lark.
No.
You have a
Yeah.
plan for this, and
Yeah, it's like you've got a specialist plan, and okay, it's like I was saying, it felt like a solution to a problem that may not exist. But if you have that problem, I think this is a great way to solve it, because it gives you the extra actions, to
yeah.
make up for it. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say bless. So, have you ever considered playing Astral Mirror to get extra hand slots, then filling those hand slots with sign magics to give yourself extra arcane slots? And those extra arcane slots will give you extra hand slots.
I did look at that when I received the card from FFG to spoil. I started going down that rabbit hole, and I'm just like, oh dear, this could get very complicated.
Then if you have, then what will happen is you'll have 5 empty arcane slots, and then you could draw 5 cards off your Eldritch Initiation. And
That's
then
right. Or you can try to fill all those arcane slots to really have a great dragon pull.
A really cool dragon pull, yeah. Oh, dragon pull! I like dragon pull. It's so.
And underrated. That would only require like half 6 the cards. Game, half 3/4 of the game to get set up, and then.
And you have to be a Mina in order to afford it all.
Yeah. That's going to do it for a look at part 3 of the Mystic cards in the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Pretty good bunch of cards here.
Yeah, we got these are the good ones. We got the good ones there, and they're good for like totally different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see some cards that fit into other decks besides Doom Manipulation. We're going to deal with a bunch of those in part 4. I think 3 of the 4, or maybe all 4, deal with Doom Manipulation. So it's nice to get a card like Binder's Jar that has some play outside of the Doom deck, as well as Arcane Mirror and stuff like that. So yeah, some good stuff. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.